Hey, brand builder, Rory Vaden here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this interview. As always, it's our honor to provide it to you for free. And wanted to let you know there's no big sales pitch or anything coming at the end. However, if you are someone who is looking to build and monetize your personal brand, we would love to talk to you and get to know you a little bit and hear about some of your dreams and visions and share with you a little bit about what we're up to see if we might be a fit. So if you're interested in a free strategy call with someone from our team, we would love to hear from you. You can do that at brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall, brandbuildersgroup.com/podcall. We hope to talk to you soon.
Hey y'all, AJ Vaden here, and here is the recap of my recent conversation with Denise Villa. And I love conversations like this because they're just real. And if you're looking for a real conversation with a real entrepreneur who's not shy about telling you the ups, downs, good, bad, ugly, all of the in between, then go check out the full episode on the Influential Personal Brand podcast with Denise Villa, Lessons from a Real Life Entrepreneur. But I'm going to pick out a couple of them that I thought were really important for this recap episode that we're going to talk about right now. So one of the things that I think is pertinent that I'm going to share, just because it relates to me, and since I'm doing these recaps, I get to decide what to talk about. But I loved her take on what it's like to work with your spouse. And I work with my spouse, have for a really long time. Little known fact, Rory Vaden and I were business partners before we were spouses. We were business partners before we fell in love and got married. We kind of broke that cardinal rule. And we have a unique perspective that we've never not known each other as business partners, whereas many couples who work together became couples before they started working together. And we don't know what life looks like not working together. And perhaps that's God's saving grace for us in our marriages. We don't know any other way. But I loved a couple of things that she said. I thought were really insightful. And what I loved most is that what often you hear people talking about are ways to make it work. Like, how do you still find time for each other and not let work invade the off hours? And how do you divide and conquer? And how do you stay in your own lane? And how do you not kill each other? How do you still stay married and do this together? And one of the things that I loved about this perspective, this take, is actually what are the benefits of working together? And I picked this as one of my highlights because this isn't the approach that you often hear when people talk about what it's like to work and be married with your spouse. And here's what I loved about it is the benefits of getting to work with your spouse is that you get to see them in a light that you would never get to see them if you didn't work together. And so I can only share my personal experience, but I think one of the most amazing things about being married to my business partner, my husband, Rory Vaden, is I get to see him in his element. I get to see him live out God's true gifts on his life on a daily basis. And yeah, some of them drive me bananas because that's not how God made me. But the amazing part is I get to see him in his element. I get to see him the way that other people get to see him that I wouldn't get to see if I didn't work in the business with him. I get to see his brilliance at work in our company and with our clients and our content and what we do. I don't know if I would have such an appreciation of that or get to see it in that light if we didn't get to work together. And I think that's a really healthy perspective if you do happen to work with your spouse, or maybe it's a parent or a sibling, or you're in a family business. It can be hard. It is hard. There's hard things about it, but there's also really good things about it. We just choose to talk about the hard ones. And we don't often talk about like what a blessing and what a gift it is to get to build something together with your spouse or your family, to get to enjoy seeing each other's gifts at work, however they can drive you crazy. And I think just making that decided choice of going, man, like, what are the gifts, the blessings in this, creates a heart change in me, at least, that makes the more challenging parts less challenging, because I get to take I get a front seat of seeing my partner, my husband, my spouse, my friend, live out his potential, live out these gifts that God has put in his life. And I'm really grateful for that. And I love that part of our conversation of, it's easy to talk about just like, oh, how do you make it work? How do you not kill each other? How do you like not let work take over? And I love that there's also a piece of this of like, how do you get to just sit back and revel in the awesomeness that is your, dad, child, brother, sister, uncle, husband, wife, and get to see them at work. And so I just love that perspective on that of working with your spouse. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I just kind of wanted to highlight that I thought was really fascinating is what it's like to be an entrepreneur, of wearing all these different hats of, man, you are sitting with so many responsibilities, and of which include taking out the trash, to paying the bills, to, sitting on boards, to writing checks, to being featured in media, to letting people go, laying people off, hiring people, leading people, managing people. And I just don't know if, the letters CEO, chief executive officer are all encompassing enough for what really happens on a daily life as an entrepreneur of a small business, right? And I thought that was a really good take of going like, what it really means to be an entrepreneur is that you're willing to do all of the things, and you're not above anything. If, the maid isn't there, it's you clean it up, right? Trash man didn't show up, you take it out. Person quit, you do the sales call. Next person quits, you do this call, right? And I think a part of that is an ingrained feeling, right? Of this is mine, and it's whatever it takes, right? It's like, I liken so many things in my life today to parenting. But it's like, at the end of the day, if the diaper needs to be changed and no one says around, I'm doing it, right? If, the trash needs to be taken out, I'm doing it. Dishes need to be washed, I'm doing it, right? And it's no different than at work, right? It's like, I take honor in getting to change my kids' diapers, although I'm very happy I don't have to do that anymore now that they're potty trained. But it's an element of, I'm taking care of something that I love. And that is a perspective shift again of going, it's not that we have to do all the dirty work as entrepreneurs. It's we get to do all the things that take care of the thing that we love. And that includes our clients, our employees, our mission, our company is like another baby, right? It's like a child. But we get to do all the things to take care of the thing that we love. Not we have to do all the dirty work and it's so hard. Those things are true too. But it's that slight perspective shift that again makes all the challenging things just a little less challenging. All right. And then my third thing, kind of on this same line, right? I love the kind of title of this, just lessons of a real life entrepreneur, of what is it like to go through the different ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys, the good and the bad of having an explosively high growth company to, wow, now we're having to lay everyone off just to survive. And then to come back and go, okay, now things are back again. And that's an emotional roller coaster. And it's like, buckle up, hold on tight, because you just don't know how fast the drop's going to happen and then how fast it can pick back up again. And I loved what she said about, like, how do you create some consistency, right? Both mentally, emotionally, even physically, of making sure that your work isn't just the only thing in your life. And I think that's the real takeaway for me is, I think as American entrepreneurs, and I can only say that because I am an American, but I'm sure this is true in most countries, our identity gets tied up in our work. And our identity is not what we do. Our identity is who we are. And if all we do, if the only thing we do is work, then we lose sight of all of the other pieces of us. So to create more consistency, to create more stability, what we do is we have to have a little bit more diversity in all the things that we do, right? I can honestly say before I became a mother, work was way more all-consuming than I would care to admit today. But I think through becoming a parent, I realized it's like, oh man, I had really put too much of my identity into one thing. And I wanted to be really careful not just to dump it into the next thing, which is motherhood, of going, well, where is my identity? And who am I if it's not just, being Jasper and Liam's mom, or doing this X company, or doing these X services, or whatever it may be. But it's really making sure that it's like I have more diversity in my life of recommitting my life back to Christ, and getting more involved in Bible studies, and increasing a friend group. I didn't have friends for a really long time. Work was everything. And it was creating, routines and habits that created some separation, where everything wasn't centered on just this one thing. And I think that's necessary, in my opinion, so that your identity doesn't get just tied up in one thing, because that isn't your identity. That is a phase of your life. It is something that you've done, although it may be a large phase of your life, but it is not who you are. It is simply something that you have done for a period of time until you move on to the next thing. Y'all, so many takeaways. Those were just 3 highlights. They had a common central theme there. Loved this conversation. Loved these takeaways. They were important to me. I hope they're important to you. So stick around, and we'll see you next time on The Influential Personal Brand.